Is the Mark 7 Golf all the car you'll ever need? Now, I've been thinking about this recently, having driven the Mark 8 Golf quite recently, Mark 4 Ford Focus as well, and having owned this Mark 7 Golf R for over 4 years now. I'm pretty familiar with these kind of cars. Now, I get a lot of questions from my fantastic subscribers, and they obviously ask about these kind of cars, generally around the kind of performance side. But what really attracts me to them is their sort of two-sidedness. You know, obviously, for example, this is a 300 brake horsepower car. It's pretty powerful in performance, but it's still just a normal everyday Mark 7 Golf. And that's what a lot of people want. They want just a normal family car. My car, for example, is in 3-door, but you can get it in 5-door. It's pretty practical. Now, just to talk a little bit around that kind of, is this the only car you'll ever need? It's the only car I own at the moment. I really, really do think it is. Now, I've been moving to a new place, and a lot of that has actually been carrying stuff in this car. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, you need to get a van, or this is where the estate comes in handy. You know, you can get a Mark 7 in an estate, but let's just call this just as from a hatchback kind of debate. Oh, you should get a T-Roc, or you get a Tiguan, get a Touareg, you need to fit all this stuff in. Now, for me personally, I've been able to fit lots of stuff in. I'll show you an example of this chest of drawers I've got in the back. So easy, and because of that sort of Golf German efficiency, the shape of how you get something in is almost more important than the litres and the amount of stuff you can fit in it. Now, this is a pretty decent load lugging capacity anyway, but because of its square rectangular shape, you can get so much stuff in it. Case in point of sort of litres, if you took, say, like a Porsche Cayman, completely different spectrum, if it says it's got 200, 300, 400 litres of space, but the shape is in the front end and sort of in a cramped back end with a mid-engine layout, the space isn't necessarily as usable, specifically when you're transporting large items. Now, I've managed to get like a mattress in here, obviously chest of drawers, usual utility stuff, microwave, fridge, freezer, all this kind of stuff you can actually fit in here, and I think it's great. And on top of that, you get the usual sort of Mark 7, and this kind of does apply to the Mark 8 Golf as well. I really do think they're the one car that can do absolutely everything. You know, they're so good. Now, I just so happen to own the most uneconomical version of the Mark 7 Golf you can get. It's a 6-speed manual, so it's not the DSG. It's 300 brake horsepower, and yet I can steal 350 to 400 miles to a tank. It'll still get me 40 miles per gallon. If I'm really cruising and driving carefully, which I generally do when I'm carrying loads of stuff, it's just as economical. You can still get people in it. You know, I hear lots of people saying, oh, you know, I've got a family, that's why I had to go for a T-Roc, that's why I had to go for a Tiguan. And I'm sort of like, are you really getting that much more space? Particularly if you've got a young growing family, I'd often think they're going to be quite small, which means they're going to be able to fit into a hatchback. They're not going to be 6'5" when they're, you know, 5 or 6, you know. So for me, the hatchback makes more sense. Of course, when people grow up, maybe situations might change, but I generally do think that hatchbacks like this are actually really, really underrated. And for me, over my sort of 4 years of having the Mark 7 Golf, you know, it just ticks absolutely every single box. And this is why I wanted to share this video, as I'm sort of going back and forth with sort of load lugging stuff in it. I think it's great. I've had, you know, 5 people in here before as well. It's absolutely fine. You know, even with my car, with a 4-wheel drive system, so you get less space underfloor storage, so it's a little bit higher, it's still perfectly fine. And I just absolutely love it. So is it all the car you'll ever need? Well, from my view, it pretty much is. I think cars, particularly in 2021, are so good now. Like, I drove that Mark 4 Focus and I thought, that can really be all you want. It really can. You know, driving the Mark 8 Golf GTI Club Sport, it was no different really to this in terms of size and practicality, and, you know, obviously all the advantages of it. Even that car, the owner can get like 52 miles per gallon. It's a 300 brake horsepower hot hatch. The world has come into a stage where, you know, these engines are so efficient, the cars are so efficient, they can just do everything. They have every single gadget you could ever want. Lane assist, you know, radar guided cruise control, even in this car, you know, prevent a crash. You know, there's so much going for it which you would want from a family. And on the plus side, the price point is better. It's better than those slightly taller SUVs, the T-Roc, the Tiguan, for example, is what I'm going for. And if you wanted more seats, you generally have to get something like a lot bigger, like Audi Q7 size. And if you had, say, 7 seats, you're then not going to get the boot space to fit any of the stuff for the people who are in it. So I've never really understood the huge SUV kind of fad. You know, I'll be honest, you see them all over the road. They're hugely top selling cars, and it's generally more of a, you know, look at me in my big SUV rather than anything that I'll actually use. You know, you're never going to go to the shops and brim your car full of stuff which a hatchback isn't really necessarily going to fill itself. That's my personal opinion. And I guess I want to share this video in sort of like an 8-minute clip, and obviously show little clips around what my car is kind of about. Just to kind of say, if you're in that debate, particularly with the car market being so strange at the moment, where assets, second most expensive thing you might ever own in your life, are becoming quite sought after, don't necessarily waste your time going for something necessarily cheaper, or looking around for this, or going for something bigger, or just following the trend. Honestly, if you're just a normal car person, or you're just a normal person, get a Mark 7 Golf. Like, seriously, 2013, I think they absolutely nailed it, and they've made such a brilliant car. This particular one is a 2017 car, but it's pretty much the same. A few little updates with sort of like the infotainment and stuff, but nothing drastic. And that's my kind of suggestion to you guys. You know, you don't have to take my advice. I'm just a normal owner. You know, check out content on my channel to see what I'm kind of all about. I kind of do like sharing stuff to the community, and I don't necessarily always want it to be about the high-end performance stuff, the hot hatch stuff. I do like to kind of bring it back to earth a little bit, because I gather a lot of people have these kind of cars. I think, you know, I had a Fiesta before I had this, and you do find situations where those cars are a little bit too small. Even for me, I'm just, you know, a normal young guy, you know, I'm not necessarily lugging around a family or anything like that. And I found it a little bit of a tricky at times. This, you know, you can get 2 full-size bikes in here, really nice and easy. You know, table, chairs, it's like, it does everything you could possibly ever really want. And that's kind of what I wanted to share. And hopefully, coming from a person who's not, you know, I don't work for Volkswagen, I don't have any sort of affiliation with them in any way, shape or form, other than the fact that I own a car which I bought off them. And, you know, I'm passionate about sort of like the Golf R community and the GTIs and all the heritage around it, and bits around fast Fords and Porsche, and I really do like sharing that on the channel. And this is just what I want to share to you. So hopefully in this 8 minutes, you might have sort of maybe looked at it and said, actually, yeah, Mark 7 Golf possibly is a good car to go for. Just get it, stick with it, hold it. And the final thing, they hold their money well. Everyone wants a Golf. Everyone wants a VW Golf. Hand on heart, I've really barely lost any money in depreciation from this car since I bought it 4 years ago. And you cannot say that about other brands and other cars. And it's credit to this car. And as it's a used car now with the Mark 8 out, I think it's one to go for. And I think it would hopefully put someone's mind at ease if they did get it. And yeah, it will look after you for the long run if you look after it. And yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say. So all the car you'll ever need? I think so. Thanks for watching. Cheers, guys.